If you've been a participant in the wonderful world of Japanese animation for any period of time, chances are you've become familiar with how anime tends to give off a unique, often exaggerated take on the culture of Japan. This leads to what are known as anime tropes, and say what you will about them, but they're often the reason many of us love anime to begin with, or hate it, I don't know. There really is nothing quite like Japanese-styled entertainment, and to us Westerners, it can really be pretty fascinating. However, one thing that sometimes fascinates me even more is how Japanese content creators interpret overseas cultures. Seeing anime contain Western themes and motifs has been done from time to time over the years, and series that have taken this approach have understandably become some of the most popular anime ever to come out in places like the United States, sometimes gaining even more recognition over here than in Japan. Standout series like these are becoming increasingly hard to come across these days, mainly due to the recent worldwide obsession with modern Japanese tropes. So imagine just how crazy it would be to see that in the spring of 2015, the anime community were treated to a brand new Western media-inspired anime straight from the mind of Yasuhiro Naitao, creator of the beloved anime classic Trigun. Yes, that is indeed something that happened this year, and I really want to tell you guys about it. Hello my friends, my name is Brian, and welcome to Nerdword Reviews. Today we're taking a look at an animated series that has all the makings of a modern classic, and just might be the greatest anime of the year. This is Kekkai Sensen, otherwise known as Blood Blockade Battlefront. Kekkai Sensen takes place in a futuristic New York City, now known as Hell Salem's Lot, where humans live together with monsters and otherworldly beings. This melting pot of intermingling species is the result of a mysterious portal opening up smack dab in the middle of the city 3 years ago. Despite this though, normal everyday life still continues, and everyone exists together peacefully, kinda. Even as people continue to go about their own business, it's a pretty common occurrence for sick and twisted beings to wreak havoc all across town, and that's where Libra comes in. Libra is an underground organization with the job of stopping these beasts and scoundrels from causing too much death and destruction, so that balance may be maintained between Earth and the Alter World. This 12-episode anime centers around the many shenanigans Libra gets involved in, and very much like the likes of Cowboy Bebop or Haruhi Suzumiya, the series plays out in an episodic fashion. Not so much focusing on an ongoing narrative, but rather on individual scenarios that serve to flesh out the characters and universe. Unfortunately, this approach obviously won't sit well with everybody. It's a common expectation for anime to contain linear storylines in advance with each episode, so this particular series approach might not necessarily be what some fans are looking for. In addition to this, some episodes are clearly better than others, so the enjoyment that you may get out of this series often depends on your taste and what kind of mood you're in. I personally love this approach. It works tremendously for a series with this kind of atmosphere and setting, but I can't deny that Kekkai Sensen's episodic storytelling is pretty niche at this point. However, that's not to say there is no central plot in this anime. The series has a tendency to focus on Libra's newest member, a young man named Leonardo Watch. Leo was a photographer who came to Hell Salem's Lot in hopes of helping his disabled younger sister, Michaela. Among all the superpowered craziness that goes on in Libra, Leo is actually just a normal guy, so he relates to the point of view of the audience. Okay, so that's not entirely true. Leo possesses his own special ability, the all-seeing eyes of the gods, which he uses to assist his co-workers at Libra and give the team the upper hand against HSL's many evil threats. As far as the plot is concerned, there's also an anime-exclusive story involving a set of mysterious twins. I don't want to say too much about them, as goes for the other characters, because most of the fun of this series is just getting to know everyone. Every character in this series is cool, unique, distinguished, and memorable in their own special ways, and thankfully don't easily fit into the molds of most anime character archetypes. If I had to pick my favorite character, it would probably be Zap, the sword-wielding, hot-headed ladies' man in the group, and the one with the coolest design would have to be Zed, the badass merman who uses his blood battle techniques to form trident weapons. There's even a mascot-like character in the form of Sonic, a super-fast monkey who gets around wherever he needs to in just the nick of time. And sadly, I'm willing to bet that this one little monkey is already more popular in Japan than the other Sonic we all know and love. In addition to the character designs, this anime certainly excels in its overall aesthetics. Kekkai Sensen is produced by Studio Bones, one of my favorite animation companies, and as always, they put a healthy amount of budget into their work, and as a result, Kekkai Sensen looks wonderful all around and never ceases to impress with its mix of colorful and atmospheric visuals, which give the series a suitably dark tone. Complementing the visuals is one of the jazziest anime soundtracks I've ever heard. The Cowboy Bebop inspiration is strong with this one, and this musical style has never sounded better. The soundtrack is one of the greatest contributors to the show's very Americanized nature, aside from the fact that the show takes place in New York City to begin with. Without undermining the other things Kekkai Sensen has to offer, the show's music just might be the best thing about it. It really is that good, and you have to listen to it yourself to understand. In addition to this, the series has both the best opening theme and the best ending theme I've heard all year. These songs are just fantastic. The opening theme is an above-average rock song with lyrics relevant to the show's messages and characters, and I'll be damned if the ending theme doesn't become the iconic popular anime dance song it so desperately deserves to be. I'll leave it at that. On the subject of sound, Kekkai Sensen is the first anime I've reviewed so far to have an English dub that I can speak of. The dub itself is pretty par for the course for Funimation, who have been producing top-quality English dubs for years now. This one is notable, however, for being recorded and released as the series was still airing in Japan. Both audio tracks are top-notch, but as with most other anime with Western themes and motifs, I'd recommend going with the dub on this one, especially if you're already a fan of Funimation's work. You remember Alphonse Elric from the first FMA series? Well, he's all grown up now and voicing our main character, Leonardo Watch, and he is such a treat to listen to in this series. The rest of the cast are utilized perfectly as well, and the dub overall feels rather fresh with the inclusion of newer, less familiar voice actors playing major characters. Also, in true sci-fi fashion, while the human characters have voice delivery that's more grounded in reality, the alien/monster characters are all suitably hammy and over the top, which I appreciate. All in all, with the English dub intact, you'll often have to remind yourself that this show was even made in Japan to begin with. I know, I may have overstated it at this point, but I swear, the presentation in Kekkai Sensen truly is what makes it stand out. It's a series that will feel so familiar to Western viewers that it feels wrong to simply call this an anime. As far as connotations go, it feels more fitting to call it an animated series. I hope you can see what I mean by that. The New York setting is used to great effect, the jazzy music is phenomenal, the color palette is cohesive, and none of it feels quite like anything you usually see in stereotypical anime. What's notable about this series is just how well these aspects are executed. Kekkai Sensen has sensational amounts of style and personality, and its approach to storytelling is as polished as it's ever been, complete with larger-than-life characters with appealing designs and abilities, relationships that feel sincere and engaging, and conflicts that serve to slowly build up the world everything takes place in. It all leads up to a phenomenal final episode that focuses on concluding the most important story arc in the series, which had been slowly developing in the background, and has now been brought to the forefront to give the series the best conclusion it possibly could have had. It's a grand finale that's ambitious, smart, meaningful, and not in the manga at all. That's right, the primary overarching story in the Kekkai Sensen anime, along with its special double-length conclusion, is entirely original, and non-adapted from Yasuhiro Naito's source material. For all intents and purposes, this is the best filler arc I've ever seen. This approach sure was a crafty way to give the anime a solid sense of completeness. It's something that most other 12-episode adaptations have consistently failed to do, and I gotta give Kekkai Sensen the utmost respect for finally doing it right. And even with its near-perfect conclusion, it still does leave the story perfectly open for continuation, so who knows, maybe we'll be seeing more of Naito's manga chapters become animated in Season 2. Hopefully. In conclusion, Blood Blockade Battlefront is one of the coolest anime I've seen in quite some time, and it deserves way more attention. It's great to see how well the series has done in home media sales in Japan, but I have yet to see the series really take off yet here in the States. And I'm sure that with the right kind of exposure, this anime will eventually be remembered in the very same way as the likes of Cowboy Bebop, Fullmetal Alchemist, Death Note, Big O, Ghost in the Shell, Bakuno, and Trigun. Basically what I'm saying here is that if Blood Blockade Battlefront doesn't show up on Toonami, it would be a damn injustice to the anime community. This series belongs on American television in one way or another. Kekkai Sensen, Blood Blockade Battlefront, whatever you want to call it, has my fullest recommendation. The approach to storytelling may not be for everyone, but if it's something you can get down with, I promise you that you won't be disappointed. It really is as straightforward as that, guys. I know this just might be the simplest review I've done yet, but that's just because this series is simply amazing, and there's not much more I can say without going into gushing territory, not to mention spoilers. The characters are great, the setting is great, the shonen action mechanics are tons of fun, the music is orgasmic, and the story is exciting, cool, funny, and at some points, just plain powerful. I'll leave it this way. If I could sum up Blood Blockade Battlefront in 4 words, it would go something like this. Best anime of 2015. With all that said, this concludes today's episode of Nerdword Reviews. 2015 has been a great year for animation, and I'm looking forward to seeing what 2016 brings to the table. So until the next review, this has been Brian from Nerdword Entertainment, and I will catch you guys later.